The moment the news broke that Mike Rutenberg would be stepping into the defensive coordinator role for the Cleveland Browns, the reaction across the fan base carried a complicated mix of anxiety, hope, and raw emotion. Because replacing a figure like Jim Schwartz was never going to feel simple, never going to feel safe. And yet head coach Todd Monken made it clear that this decision wasn't rooted in comfort, but in conviction, in the belief that sometimes the future demands courage rather than familiarity. Schwartz had built something special, a defense that had become the heartbeat of Cleveland football, a unit that didn't just stop opponents, but intimidated them, suffocated them, imposed its will with relentless aggression. And when he walked away after being passed over for the head coaching job, it left a void that felt almost personal to players and fans alike, a reminder of how fragile momentum can be in the NFL. Yet Monken saw something in Rutenberg that went beyond resume lines or titles, something that emerged during long conversations, film breakdowns, and hours of football philosophy that convinced him this relatively unproven coordinator could carry forward an identity built on dominance and pride. Rutenberg, only 41, arrives without ever having called an NFL defense, a fact critics immediately seized upon. But those who know his journey understand why this opportunity feels earned rather than gifted, because his path was never glamorous, never fast-tracked, beginning as a behind-the-scenes intern grinding through personnel reports after graduating from Cornell University and learning the professional game under Hall of Fame coach Joe Gibbs, absorbing organizational discipline before eventually moving into college coaching roles at programs like UCLA Bruins and New Mexico State Aggies, where he developed a reputation for teaching defensive backs the intricate art of coverage recognition and communication, skills that later carried him back into the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars and eventually into prominent roles with the San Francisco 49ers and New York Jets under defensive architect Robert Saleh, where his understanding of modern defensive structure deepened, merging pass coverage disguises with aggressive front mechanics, an intellectual approach that caught the attention of Jeff Ulbrich when the Atlanta Falcons needed fresh ideas. And in Atlanta, his impact became measurable rather than theoretical, as the Falcons' pass defense climbed significantly, reinforcing the belief that his football mind operated at an elite level. Still, Cleveland presents a different challenge entirely, because this isn't a rebuilding defense, but one of the league's most dominant units over the past 3 seasons, statistically leading in categories that define defensive excellence, from yards allowed to situational efficiency, while producing stars who have become symbols of the franchise's identity, none more intimidating than reigning Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett, whose record-breaking sack production transformed Sundays into spectacles of controlled chaos, alongside emerging forces like Defensive Rookie of the Year Carson Schwessinger and established leaders such as Pro Bowl corner Denzel Ward, safety Grant Delpit, and cornerback Tyson Campbell, a core that expects excellence rather than promises, results rather than plans. The emotional weight of inheriting such a group cannot be overstated, especially considering the defense's remarkable streak of preventing 300-yard passers, a run unmatched since the era of the Indianapolis Colts in the mid-2000s, numbers that reflect not just scheme, but culture, accountability, and belief. And Rutenberg must now step into locker rooms where loyalty to Schwartz still lingers, where trust must be earned snap by snap, meeting by meeting, conversation by conversation. Monken's broader staff vision, including offensive coordinator Travis Switzer and special teams coordinator Byron Storr, represents a new era for Cleveland football, one designed to balance offensive evolution with defensive continuity. And within that vision, Rutenberg's mission becomes both technical and emotional, preserving the aggressive 4-3 identity fans have come to love while imprinting his own voice onto the system, a delicate dance between respect for the past and ownership of the future. For Browns supporters, this hire is more than a coaching change. It is another chapter in a franchise story defined by longing, resilience, and the constant search for stability. Because Cleveland fans don't just watch football, they endure it, live it, carry it through generations, and they understand that championships are built not only on star players, but on moments when organizations choose belief over fear, opportunity over hesitation. And as Rutenberg steps onto the practice field for the first time, wearing the authority of a coordinator, he carries not only a playbook, but the hopes of a city that has waited far too long for sustained greatness, a city ready to embrace him if he proves worthy, and ready to challenge him if he does not. Because in Cleveland, football is never just a game, it is faith, identity, and the promise that someday all the struggle will finally make sense.